Hi, good morning. Good morning to all of you from database community people, database development, database administrator, and anyone who works on database. Okay. Today we are going to take few interview questions. Okay, and we'll go through the answers also through lab and wherever there is theoretical question, we'll try to answer that. Okay. These questions are from medium to advanced level. I don't expect answers from those DBAs or from the people who are just at a beginner level or at starting level. Okay, so people who have experience in database, be it administration, or if the answer could come from development background or the ones who are supporting database, that would be really great. Okay, so we have like set of 15 questions. Okay, and then at the end of it there is one bonus question. Okay, so even that we'll see. So let's start. Okay, so 15 interview questions with answers for MS SQL Server DBA. So this is for SQL Server. Okay, we'll have a similar video for Sybase ASE, and also I will try to cover one video for SAP ASE replication server. Even that is very important. Okay, thank you for watching first of all, and if you like my video or other videos in my channel, I would request you to subscribe and like them, and please provide your valuable input in terms of comments. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so first question is, it's pretty long question and lengthy question. So suppose you have a SQL Server database which is hosted on SQL Server 2019 version of that, and having compat level of 2016. So the question is, can the backup of database running on this server, any database which is running on SQL Server 2019, if I take the backup of that, can having compat level of 2016, can that backup be restored on a SQL Server which is running on SQL Server 2016? So this is the question. So I will just give it few seconds for you to think about it, and if you can answer that, or if you can think about the answer. So the question is, you have a database which is running in the compat mode of, or the compatibility level of 2016. However, the overall version of that server, of that database server, is 2019. Okay, so just think about it and see if we can restore that database backup to another server which is running on SQL Server 2016. Answer is no, it cannot be restored. Okay, so this is theoretical question and you can try it yourself and you will not be able to restore it. So this was the first question. Now the second question is, now just keep in mind that I am talking about the database which is Stack Overflow database. Okay, so I have all the tables and structures as it is on the Stack Overflow. So I have users table, I have batch table, I have all other tables. So the second question is, can you provide one example wherein in the actual plan or in the estimated plan you will see index scan? Okay, let me show you this. We'll go through the lab also at the same time so that you know the questions and their answers. Okay, so this is about index scan. Okay, so if you do top 10 star from dpo.users, okay, what you will see here in the execution plan is clustered index scan. Okay, so this is one example. So anything that you see here in terms of clustered index scan, which means it is performing a scan of the index. Okay, in here there is no order, right? So you can see, if you go here, there will not be any order as such, but if you specify anything, then there will be ordered. You can see here it's false, but if you specify anything, order by this, top 10 star, order by this, then it will be true. Now there is also option whether it is forward direction or backward direction. Okay, so even that thing will be there. Okay, so this was about index scan, right? So this was one example wherein index scan will be performed. Okay, let's see another question now. Okay, can you provide one example of index seek? This is pretty straightforward. Okay, so index seek, suppose you have a clustered index. So if you run a query of anything which is now pointing straight to that equality operator, in that case it will go for index seek. Okay, if I want, if I can show it to you on the same one. Okay, so select star from users where id is equal to 100. So id is our clustering key. Okay, that is on the primary key. So you can see if you go to the execution plan, you will have cluster index seek. You can also show this in terms of non-clustered index. You can create your index, say you can create index on the location or on the reputation, and if you run a query with that particular one with equality operator, it will show you index seek. Okay, so this was the answer of this. Okay, now next question. Now give one example of query where creating index will help. However, there will be no index recommendation from SQL Server. This is something tricky. Now to answer this question, you need to understand how does SQL Server provide the recommendation, right? So until you know that, I mean, this is also something wherein missing index feature comes from SQL Server. You have a missing index recommendation. We have many article wherein you will see what all are the indexes which is looked by SQL Server, and you should be creating it. And what are the benefits in terms of number of reads and all, right? We have seek, we have scan, we have lookup, all that. Okay, so basically that comes from this DMV. Okay, so how do you figure that out, and what are the conditions? So unless and until you understand how does SQL Server provide recommendation based on what condition and how it is being formed. Okay, and you need to also understand that these are nothing but comma delimited columns. Okay, it is not in the order. But I am asking something different here. I am asking, give me one example, okay, wherein if you create an index, that will certainly be used in the query. However, that index will not be shown to you, will not be shown to you as missing index, right? Okay, so let's see how does that happen. Okay, so right, this is the one. Okay, so you need to understand that the index being recommended by SQL Server only when you have it in the where clause. If it is not in the where clause, this will not be recommended. Okay, so if you run this query, location count star, so I'm using aggregate function here from users table and group by location. Okay, so let's see whether it is using our index or not, whether index is there or not. Yes, you can see we have a non-clustered index on location column of the table, right? And this is very much in use. What if I drop this index? Okay, I will drop this index, and now let's see whether it is asking you to create this index. Okay, if you see the execution plan, there is nothing suggested by SQL Server. However, it is going for cluster index scan because we don't have an index. If you create an index on location, it will use that, right? So if you enable the stats and other things, IO, okay, I will start. Either you can enable from here, or you can also put set stats IO on. Okay, so you see here we don't have any non-clustered index. So let's see how many pages it is using. 142,000 pages, right? Now let's create the index on location column. Okay, Once the index creation is completed, then we'll run the same query again, and we'll see it is using our index. As you know, as we have seen earlier, it will use the index. Now how many pages are being read? So you can see number of page which was getting read earlier was 142,000, whereas now with the index it has come down to 21,000. So 7 times improvement, right? So this is how it is. So these kind of queries wherein we do not have anything in the where clause, it will not be there in the missing index. Okay, so you need to be careful. That is why it is being said that when you design an index from the DMV of missing stats, you need to be careful, right? Okay, so this was fourth question. Now fifth question, let's see. Give one example where index seek is bad. Now this is something very interesting. Generally this is concept, or this has been accepted, that index seek is very good. Okay, index scan is not that good, right? But there are some cases wherein index seek is not good. What you should see is number of logical reads. How many pages you are reading from the database, from the table, from the disk. Okay, so this is something which shows, I will show you one query wherein index seek is not good, it is bad. Let me show you that. So this question is done. So let me close this one up. Okay, you can see here this will take long time to run, so I will not run that. So you can see select star from dbo.users where id is greater than 1000. So this will actually do index seek, right? Index seek. However, it has to read everything from there. So all the IDs which is greater than 1000 will be read by this query. Okay, so you can see index seek. However, in terms of number of rows, you will see it is like huge number of rows. Okay, so although it is seek, but is not good. Okay, this was example of that. Now id is nothing but our clustering key, as you know. Okay, let's go to the next question now. Give one example of good index seek. Now this is something pretty straightforward. We have seen when you have select star from users where id is equal to a specific number, equality operator. When you have equality operator on clustering key, on clustered index, this will be doing index seek, and that is the best way. So this is pretty straight question and should be answered by even no beginner level DBA or beginner level of development people. Now give one good example of index scan. This one we have actually already seen. Okay, so this is something you can say top 10 star from users. Okay, so this will do index scan, right? Or you can also replicate the same concept in terms of NC index, non-clustered index. If you do that on the reputation column or on the location column, this will be index scan, but it will be good scan. It doesn't have to go through the complete thing. Even if there is order by, this will do order by in terms of forward or backward based on the order column. Okay, so now next question. This is theoretical question. What is the difference between heap and table? This is something which is good and not really understood by everyone. Okay, so I don't expect this answer from a beginner DBA. I expect answer from someone who knows something about clustering key, non-clustering key, and know how does the clustered index change the structure of table, or the order which is important while storing the data. So these all things come when you understand the difference between heap and a table. Okay, so answer actually I have already given you a hint of that. So any table which is having clustered index is a table. Any table which is not having clustered index is a heap. So even if you have a table with primary key, however that primary key is defined as non-clustered, is still a heap. So if you have a table which does not have clustered index, is a heap. As simple as that. Okay, so let's go to the next question now. Now, next question is, can you create a primary key with non-clustered index? Yes, we can create it. But is it something advisable? I will say no. But we can create. I will show you that. Okay, I am taking batch table here. So in the batch table, you can see I have changed this primary key with non-clustered. By default is clustered. However, I have changed this to non-clustered. And also any index that you are creating non-cluster, you can change, you can add an additional key for clustered, and this will become your additional index, which is clustered index. Okay, so if you expand that table, you will see here in the tables, if you go to batch table and index, so refresh it, you will see user ID is a clustered index here, whereas the primary key is non-clustered. So this can be done, yes. Okay, so let's go to the next question now. So 10th question is, can you create a clustered index on any column of heap? Yes, we can create. I already showed you how to do that, and it is very much possible. Now we'll have another question, next question, wherein we'll see like what is the thing. What is the difference between primary key clustered index and non-primary clustered index? Now this is something I don't expect again this answer from a beginner DBA or someone who is at the medium level or at the mid level. Okay, I expect this answer from someone who is at expert level. Okay, who has really good experience and who understands the things. Okay, so primary key is something which is not null and also unique. But when you add a clustered index on any column, so that time SQL Server has to take an extra measure, additional measure to make it unique. How does that do it? SQL Server uses something called unique identifier, unifier, which is of 4 byte. Okay, so it adds an extra number to that column, which makes it unique. That is why when you have a clustered index on some other column, which is not the primary key, that time the size of that index will be larger than the other compared to the primary key. And as you would have known by now, or in your database administration, that primary key or clustering key is also added part of all non-clustered index to have the pointer back to the table. Okay, so then if you have a clustered index, which is non-primary, will add an overhead for you. Okay, let's see the next question. Now this is something theoretical and this comes with the experience. What is the data type of column where index cannot be created? This is n varchar max. If you have a column which is of n varchar max, on that column you cannot create a index, non-clustered index or clustered index, anything. Okay, now this is something practical question. Okay, so suppose you have a case or you went to your office in the morning and suddenly you saw that SQL Server went down. So what will be your starting point of troubleshooting? Where will you check? This is the question. Okay, so the answer comes from error log. You should check the very first thing, what went wrong, what was going on at that point of time when SQL Server went down. It must be there in the SQL Server error log. You have to see what is the entry of that, okay, due to what reason it went down. It will be specified there. So that is the answer which I expect from a DBA. Now 14th question. Now this is something tricky. You have a database server, okay, which is dedicated for your database, and it is having database size of 64 GB and allocated RAM is 128 GB. Currently the used memory, okay, it is more than 120 GB and it is going very slow because most of the memory has been used by SQL Server. So how would you address it, or what will be your approach to solve this? Okay, I'm expecting answer on the line of SQL Server max memory. We have a setting on the SQL Server which is max memory. So I need to hear from someone who is answering the question, he should say that he or she should say that we will set the max memory to a specified number. Okay, if you do so, then it's a dynamic change. Okay, so then the memory consumed by SQL Server will be reduced, and there will be some memory which will be allocated to OS, operating system. So this was the 14th question. Now the 15th question, this is something important, and actually I have covered this thing in one of my earlier video. So list out few key features of SQL Server 2019. Okay, so I expect answer at least 3 feature of SQL Server 2019. I mean, it could be starting from at least 1 or 2, but if you answer 3 or more, that would be even good, because 2019 is really good. Lot of new things have come. Okay, so first thing I would expect in terms of row store, row mode and batch mode. Where does that come into the effect, and what is the benefit of that? That's the first thing that I would like to see. Second thing I would like to see in terms of memory grant. Okay, how does memory grant change for SQL Server 19 and earlier version? And third thing I would like to see in terms of memory feedback. Okay, so I have covered that. So if you can see that video, that would help you in understanding. Okay, now time for bonus question. Okay, so in the bonus question, I would like you to ask about output clause and how will you use them into deleted clause. You have deleted query, how will you use the output clause? Okay, so let me show you that. Let me close this. Okay, so this is where I'm deleting the rows from users table. Okay, having ID is equal to 1. ID is equal to 100. Okay, so let me see what is the ID 100. So ID 100, actually I am showing reputation here. Okay, so reputation of this ID is 5524. So if I do a begin tran, declare this table variable, and deleting this and storing the values, if you see output deleted, into my table variable. You can also have one table which is already there in your database. Okay, so for deleting, you can store that whatever things have been deleted. So tomorrow, after you perform delete operation, if someone comes to you that what you deleted or it is causing some issue which shouldn't have been deleted but has been deleted. Okay, so this clause will really help you. Let me show you. Actually, I'll perform a rollback after doing this operation because I don't want to delete this value. So you can see it is select start from at TB. So the value is 5524. So this is how you use the output clause. Okay, output deleted into this. You have performed delete. So, but from deleted buffer, you store that into table variable. Okay, so this was all about the questions that we had for SQL Server 2009 to the SQL Server interview question. So thank you for watching. So this was about all. So I hope you like these questions and you like the answers also. I will prepare an ebook for all these questions and answer, and I would keep it on my post, and also I will give a link here. If you want to buy them, it will be on a nominal charge. All right, so you can download them and you can use it for your preparation for DBA interview. And if you liked my channel, my video, please like, comment for any improvement, for anything that you want me to cover, and request you to subscribe to my channel if you really like them. Okay, so thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye bye.